Hey there. Before we get started, I just wanted to come on and ask you all a favor. In our research, we've discovered that the vast majority of you do not actually like and subscribe to our podcast. And so, if I could ask you to do so, I won't ask you for anything else. And I promise to make this podcast the best I can every day. Me and the team really strive to do that for you. And so, if you could do this for us, we would be eternally grateful. Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Mikkel Weber, founder and auteur of House of Peregrine. Expat, immigrant, pioneer, none of these were a fit, but Peregrine describes what we are all about perfectly. Those that craft their life story with intention. I've spent the last 6 years in awe of the life-changing connections and stories I have experienced while living abroad, and believe it is time for this adventure to be recognized, celebrated, and elevated to the life stage that it is. Through these interviews, I hope to connect those living internationally more deeply to both the place they are living and with themselves and those around them. We cover everything from international finances and meaning-making to global parenting and relationships to make your time abroad more intentional, edifying, and full of beauty. Find us at houseofperegrine.com, where you can find more ways to connect with the ethos of Peregrine. I hope you enjoy today's guest. Let's get started.
Laser, welcome. Geert, welcome. And Mikkel, welcome. Happy to have you guys here. We ended yesterday on the experiences Laser had as an artist, how he came up as a street artist, going from national to international, and going through the whole process as his creative process as an artist. And today we're heading into the House of Peregrine and the founders behind it and the people involved. Let's do a quick introductionary about the people you are. Mikkel, you want to start it off?
Yeah, sure. My name is Mikkel. I'm the founder of House of Peregrine. I started this process in January, and luckily somehow or another got these two amazing artists to come along. So I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having us.
Cool. Geert?
Hi, I'm Geert. I'm a designer on the House of Peregrine project, and we met at the Web3 community here in Amsterdam, and by accident, and it's been the best accident in a long time.
Oh, cool. That's a good one. Laser, could you do a quick introductionary about yourself?
Yeah, I'm Laser314. I started out as a graffiti artist in the 80s, progressed into a street poet. And what I do, I write short sentences on non-permanent surfaces around the city of Amsterdam. And I'm also the artist at the moment for House of Peregrine.
Great, and we'll get into that a bit later.
Perfect.
Just for the people who missed your podcast of yesterday, could you explain a bit more about the timeline and the influences for you as an artist before we go into the House of Peregrine?
Yeah, of course. In the early 80s, I saw like a lot of graffiti emerge. They were like tag based, so you had all these names like Dr. Smurry, Air, Harakiri, Ego, and I saw all these tags. And at the time, also hip hop came up, of rap music. It was not called hip hop yet. It was called rap music, and everything together created this great cocktail of something that I kind of tapped into. So I started copying all these writers that I admired, and I started like tagging my name in my neighborhood. And I didn't know it was called graffiti or tagging or anything yet. It was just something that I saw and started to emulate. Later on, 2 years later, in '84, I went to the graphic school of Amsterdam, the Amsterdamse Grafische School, and I met like a lot of graffiti writers that were like there. All my heroes were there, you know. It was kind of very good for me. So it kind of catapulted me into be really wanting to focus on graffiti and become a graffiti artist. I did that for a long time. And in the 90s, I wanted to focus more on comics. I did like a lot of paintings, But I also started to write poetry. I'll get back why that inspiration came, but where that inspiration comes from. But I started to write poetry, and slowly but surely the poetry took over. I started to find it a bit more interesting than the images I was making, because I could convey an emotion or an idea very fast in one sentence or two sentences. But I didn't know what to do with it at the time. And I just wrote, and at some point, end of the 90s, I thought, hey, why don't I take these words on the street and see what happens as an experiment, just to see what happens. It was just something that I felt like it could add to the city, because if you walk through the city, everything is cluttered with like advertisements and all political. In the time of elections, you see a lot of political posters, but there's hardly anything by people like me that just want to say something instead of selling you something or there for election or anything else. And I kind of miss that because I grew up with
And
that.
what's pretty
Yeah.
was pretty counterintuitive for you as well, right? Because you talked a bit yesterday about being introverted personality, but
Yeah.
it was the way you conveyed your message to the world. It was a big hurdle for you as an artist, but as a person as well, right?
Yeah, of course, yeah. Because like I said, I grew up pretty introvert. I was not introvert with my brothers or my sisters, but to the outside, I was very quiet. But I also had all
Yeah.
these things in my head, all the music that I heard, all the books that I read, all the movies that I watched, and they created all these ideas in my head, and they needed to get out, also my emotions. And through poetry, I kind of found a way to channel that, and by putting it on the street, it's almost like in the beginning it was like almost like therapy, like I can say these things, and it kind of helped me quite a bit.
And all that perception and all that thinking and that creativity together,
Yeah.
and feeling the culture that was blooming up, right,
Yeah.
in that era,
Yeah.
that influenced you a lot, like the music, the
Yeah.
politics,
Yeah.
and that's what you were trying to convey by writing it on actually playing with time as well, right?
Yeah.
Just recapping yesterday,
Yeah.
playing with time, because it's so fluent. Like the city is ever changing. You're posting your artworks on billboards or on building. What's it called? A building frame?
I call them builder boards and scaffoldings and stuff like
billboards.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. So everything that keeps changing in that city, and that's a very interesting concept. And that's actually where Mikkel and I think Geert as well might have started being influenced by you in a sense, right? And that was your intention, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know what my intention. It was not to influence people, but to, as an artist, I see myself as an observer of what's happening in society and in the world. So that's what I write about. If you go back to what I would write 10 years ago, you could really see also sometimes the politics of the time. So I'm kind of reacting on what I observe, and sometimes
it's like a mirror.
Yeah, and sometimes I put my own opinion on it because I'm human. But most of the times, as an artist, you observe what's happening in the time period you live in, and you try to communicate that, and write about that, and that's something I always do. So I wake up, I watch a lot of news, all kinds of news, what's happening in the world, and I'm always trying to keep on top of things. And it just seeps through my art. And that's a bit the thing. I see myself more as an observer from a distance.
And in that whole, like staying observant of current state, it's really broad, right? It's music to other artists, to influences in the tech world. You think about all these subjects related to each other, looking at the whole city, how everything ties together. Being observant of that, you got influenced by a new emerging technology, the promise of Web3. And that's where you found Mikkel, and eventually Geert also joined that process. I'm really interested in what Geert's influence was to join the mission. We'll get into the mission later on, but is laser like the main reason you joined the team, or was it the good energy you felt from Mikkel, or what happened there?
I'm loving this question. Please.
That's good, huh?
Question.
Yeah, I'm just
No
trying
pressure.
to
It's a
get.
mixture. It's a mixture of everything, right? What I said in the introduction about the happy accident, getting into the Web3 community here, was a friend of mine walked by the Web Lab community here in Amsterdam.
Yeah.
Shout out to all the Web Lab people. And he thought it was a coffee shop. So he was like, hey, can I order a coffee here? And then they were like, no, it's a co-working event. And, and then he came home. He was like, dude, I found this community, and we were like, okay, let's go there next week. And so that's how I ended up in Web3, actually, because a friend of mine thought it was a coffee shop, like a coffee shop, like a real coffee place, right?
Laser has a coffee shop story as well.
Oh, yeah.
Mentioned it yesterday.
A green coffee shop, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then I heard some interesting talks there, saw how people were super enthused about Web3, and me as a designer and as a creative, I was like, wow, I can really bring something to this community, And lo and behold, I think a month later, I met Michaela there. She was giving a talk about her project, and I was just... I loved her professionalism and just how she was going about things, and I gave a presentation about my journey, and basically I've also had my experience with graffiti and street art. So Michaela saw like the overlap there between design, street art, and then I was baking waffles at the time, and she was like, because I'm also into waffles, and she was like, I offered her a waffle, and she was like, yeah, no, the waffle's great, but I need to talk to you about this, And then she explained, and I was like, let's do it. I was just immediately all in. And especially after seeing Laser, I had seen his works, and I was like, oh man, this is a fantastic opportunity. Even just to get to know Laser, that would have been great, even just that. So, no, it's been really good. Yeah.
Can I
Just before we head to Mikkel, yeah, you can go ahead, Laser. I'm going to start up the video because I think this is a nice moment to see what happened after everything got tied together. Just before we tell the whole story.
Perfect.
Laser, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I knew Geert's work actually from a long time ago, because we were talking, and at some point he said, "Yeah, I do street."
No way.
He was like, "Yeah, I did some street art too," and I was like, "Okay," because you never know who or what somebody's going to bring. And he said, "I did this little gnome on a skateboard." I said, "Oh, is that you?" Because that was very iconic in 2007, 2008, that era. And I was like,
No
"Oh,
way."
it was so cool I was like, "Hey, that's cool to meet him," because I knew this character. And later on, I kind of found a book, a street art book with his gnome on it, that I had for like, I think, a decade in my bookcase. So it was kind of cool to also meet Geert after all this time.
Yeah, it tied together. That's interesting.
And it also helped, and that's what I also said to Geert, like, it's also good to work with somebody who was also a street artist, because you made your hands dirty, so you really understand where we're coming from,
Yeah, on a cultural level, you can level out on the technical capabilities. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's a good story. Like that's so interesting. I'm going to start the video just as an introduction to the street work. Everybody gets to see it a bit. Let me know if there's any issue with the sound. I'll be speaking a bit in between to also communicate to the people that are listening in. Here it goes.
And I'd like to say this is also Ming's work, another one of our Genesis members.
Ming,
Amazing.
Geert, Laser, Mikkel, everybody pulled this together.
Yeah.
Did you know that House of Peregrine has an app? It is full of resources, information, and products to make life as an international more connected and more intentional. As a member of House of Peregrine, you also now have access to exclusive discounts, products,
guides, and events to make life more fun and connected. Simply download the app at houseofperegrine.com and save it to your home screen. Okay, back to the show.
These are the real coordinates, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so, right?
Well, we can tell that story too, but it's basically we all met and realized, we had a lot of fun that night, but we did have to make a few changes. But yeah, it's right nearby the actual coordinates.
Cool. This is Amsterdam. This is the whole process. You just go out there and you do the thing that feels right.
Yeah. And we really wanted to come in with something that was really great. So we thought, I hadn't seen an artist trailer before. It's like announcing, I've seen artist announcements just on Twitter or whatever. And I thought, let's do something better, or not better, but also just like show who we are. And so that's where the concept of this came from. And then again, we got Ming to do the camera work, and it just kind of came together.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I really like the fact that like, I think Ming is more the technical guy, right? On the Web3 perspective.
He's multi-talented and very, he's sometimes invisible in the process, but he's a very important part. He's also, isn't he co-founder of the Web3B Lab?
Web Lab, yeah, he is. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And he's involved with the Polygon, what's the
Polygon
foundation,
blockchain.
right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So you've got some real talented people, culturally relevant people in your team. So that's interesting. And it's all people that are doing this out of pure enthusiasm, organic growth. And that's really powerful to me. Mikkel, without further ado, please take the stage, just talk about the project, where it started. I think it starts where you travel around the world, don't feel really at home every time you get somewhere, have some friction on a few just logistical things, not finding your people, right? Is that?
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know where it starts, but I'll let you know. My background is I worked in advertising and film as a film director for 10 years early in my career. And so I think that's where the creative impulse comes for this project a little bit. But personally, where this project started, I grew up in Salt Lake City, Utah, my whole life. But it's a very culturally homogenous place. And so I think I just never kind of fit in. I thought the world was bigger and, brighter. And so when I got the opportunity to move abroad, I did. And immediately realized that there's so many more people like me that I had more in common with than maybe the people I grew up with. And so I always kind of had that feeling of like being an alien even where I grew up. So when I came here, I started to find people that were like me, that had that similar paradigm or worldview that like the world is big and beautiful, but also it becomes small when you meet the right people. And that's not a new notion, but for me, it was really powerful. And so I immediately started writing a web series because that's what filmmakers do, and started gathering stories from everyone and realizing there's these common threads and common things that we all kind of are going through, but it's kind of invisible. And so that's where it turned from a web series. As I was getting involved in Web3 in 2016, 2017, I was writing the series while learning about Web3 and going, oh, there's something here. There's a new way of creating and there's a new way of assigning value that really just resonated so strongly with me that it this is the manifestation of those two impulses, my creative impulses, as well as my community building, but also like ways of assigning and creating value and creating beauty in the world. And so that's where the impulse came from. Then in 2000, in my head, I always had like, oh my God, Laser 314. When I moved here, he was the first words I could read on the street. And I walked around a lot because I live in the center. And I just thought, this is the voice of the city. If I could if I could somehow work with him, it would make sense for what I'm trying to say. And this is where my skills as a film director come in, because in my head, I have something I want to do. If only I can find the specialists for this thing. And so that's what I started doing. So in January, I saw the tag on the street that said, could this be an NFT? And my voice kind of, my whole body just kind of stopped. And I was like, oh my God, he's thinking the same thing. And actually, I didn't know if it was a he, she. I didn't know who he was at the time. So I just took a picture of it, made 2 NFTs, one called Marco, one called Polo, emailed him on his website, basically, and just said, hey, would you consider doing a project together? And he, of course, we over a few meetings spoke about the project, and I was elated when he agreed to create something together and come on board. And so that it grew from there. Basically, it gave me he really just took a chance on an idea, and it's grown from there. So I think that was the beginning. I don't know how, do you want to break this up a little bit? I can go into other, but then so as we were coming up with the concept, Laser wisely said, I think we need another artist. We need someone that can bridge this gap of where you and I don't have. And I was like, that is exactly right. I will find that person, having no idea how I was going to find that person. But maybe even a week later, I met Geert, and I was like, oh, I saw his presentation. I was like, he has the things. He will understand what Laser brings to the world and be able to translate it with a lot of fidelity and a lot of integrity to the digital world, because that was what we were doing. How do we bring about this anonymous, highly prolific person into the metaverse in a way that is actually real, if that makes sense? And so Geert came up with this concept, and we all just immediately, it just went.
Yeah, the whole process was amazing to do it, from the test version at my studio to the final piece. It was really one of the best things I've done in a long time. So I really loved it. It was just fun because normally I work solo. I'm in my studio, just doing my own thing, and it was fun to collaborate with all these different types of people. We had a really good team at the end.
Yeah.
How was it for you, Geert?
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, I came from my first real exploration in creativity was street art. And then I moved into industrial product design, thanks to my graffiti, actually, because otherwise I wouldn't have gotten into the school, because I was a high school dropout at the time. So in a way, graffiti saved my life, and I'm incredibly grateful for that. And so when they came to me with the proposition of how do we capture Laser, and how do we put his art form into like a digital version, I immediately had a lot of ideas, right? Like, do we motion track him? Do we do it on an iPad? But then everything felt really cold, right? You lose that grit that street art inherently has, right? It's a bit dirty, street art, right? You, like Laser said, you got to get your hands dirty, and you got to take risk and all that stuff, and you lose that if it's 100% digital, right? And I remember in that first meeting, I was like, okay, because as a product designer, I have extensive knowledge of materials and all that stuff, right? So I was like, okay, what if we film him through this type of plastic that is going to create this natural blurriness from afar, but up close it's going to be in focus. And it took like 5 minutes, and I already was like, this is perhaps something we can test, right? So I went to a hardware store the next day, bought a couple of garbage bags, and we made a prototype. And as soon as we saw the prototype, we were like, this is it. So the prototype that we made, the first film test, was on a bunch of garbage bags.
I love the fact that it's so similar to the process that Laser intuitively has. It's completely in line. Like it makes sense.
Yeah.
Mikkel had a feeling, she acted upon it. Geert had a feeling, she acted upon it, and Laser excessively talked about that. Like, I'm doing this out of a feeling.
Yeah.
This is what I feel at that moment. This is what I communicate. And wow, I really like that about the project. Like the whole team is very calculative. Like, you're really intentional one by one. You have knowledge about your respects. Like Mikkel is a perfect like project manager. She steers the whole conversation towards that whole scenery that fits the picture, right? Geert has the knowledge about the materials. Laser is the creative mind balancing that with Geert. It's fascinating to hear, and
It's exactly like
yeah,
making a
it
movie.
get
My
yeah.
entire life is just a film set. Like,
Really?
But going back to Mikkel, so that whole thing happens. It was a one take or a two taker. Basically, the fundamentals were there, and you could proceed on the project. You were interviewing a lot of people to make sure they were all in line with the way you were willing to set this up, right? How was that process? What did it do with you as a person, and what kind of feedback did you get from the people you've met?
yeah, that's a good question. So along the journey, so creating this art was exactly how I wanted to create everything. So I really, this was the first time we were coming up with the House of Peregrine project. And so in the spirit of that, collaborative, decentralized co-creation, and having highly skilled contributors to a project that I have in mind, I set out to interview the people that I wanted to join the first cohort, basically. And so when I wasn't working on the artwork, which was a complete joy and honor, I was building the home for it. And so starting in January, right after, I mean, even maybe slightly before I spoke with Laser and he came on board, I started having coffees with people and just practicing what I wanted to bring into the world and seeing if I could get it to land. And it took a long time, and it still sometimes takes a long time because you're onboarding people into Web3, which is a new way of thinking, and to a project, a way of doing also that maybe they hadn't. But it was really fantastic. I got to meet over 100 people for coffee over these 10 months. And we set up, I got to do a lot of research on the technology side and find a home for that. And then just the different communities that I'm part of through NFTs were really supportive, and I got to ask questions. And so just, yeah, having that, I have this, what I want to build, and then just getting the right people on board to do it is basically how I also approach the Genesis members. If I had a feeling about someone, if they were recommended, I would have coffee with them and then get a gut feeling and make an offer if they wanted to join, or be like, thank you for your time. Like, I didn't bring everyone on board simply because not everyone would understand or appreciate it. And I knew we were creating something really, really special and fantastic and actually valuable. So that's how it started. And yeah, I'm really proud of who we have on board. A great mix of fantastic, very highly skilled people, and this experience of loving magic and what it takes to create something new.
Yeah, we'll get in that in more detail later on, because I think we're skipping a beat here. Like, looking at the House of Peregrine, there's an idea there next to the artworks and next to the creative part of things. Eventually, you've set up a few pillars of creation, right? A product you want to roll out and solve a problem with. And I'm really wondering, like, okay, what's the idea behind that? And so you've been explaining this to all these people, the eventual thing you want to build. What lands with them? Could you share a bit on, okay, this is how I explain it to those people, where it lands at, and let people have some thoughts on that?
Yeah. So what it comes down to is it's a big idea with a lot of audiences. And so usually, for instance, your audience is more Web3. And so I love explaining it as a value creation, assigning value differently. And so the way we work, we can assign value differently. We can have contributions be a different way instead of just a full-time job or a full-time gig. you can contribute in the way that makes sense to you. If it's 10 minutes, if it's 15 minutes, if it's more. And so that's what I think Web3 brings. And I spend a lot of time explaining why this project needs Web3, honestly. And it's harder to see because it's not a purely technological product, but through the mindset, the spirit of Web3, and also the technology, which is very important.
What does it mean to you? Like,
yeah, that's
what
it means that you can do things in a different way, in a really
get really specific. Try and explain it to someone who doesn't understand what Web3 is.
So it's a mindset in a way. So if someone doesn't know what NFTs are, or it's really just a technical way of being able to move value around. And so that is, I don't usually use the word NFT because it actually scares people. So what I usually try and do is say we're creating around this idea of international living. And we can do that in a number of ways. We have different ways of compensating people or bringing value to their lives that is new.
Okay. I get that. I think it's still a bit abstract, but I think that's what you're trying to point out as well. Just looking at a technical perspective, Web 1, Web 2, Web 3, there have been some changes. First there was write, then there was write and read, and now there's write, read, own. And that's why you say value distribution has a new opportunity logistical wise, right? That's and with that dynamic, you hope to engage an audience online where you can use that digital value in a means that now in current times it's not normal yet to exchange value in that way, right? That's what you're trying to say.
That's what it. Yep.
And there's also this as I think there's e-commerce involved, right? You've been thinking about e-commerce, or that's one of the pillars you want to build on, and that's from a traveler's perspective as well, like to make sure you have your tribe in every city. Could you explain a bit about that part of the project? And I'm really interested in hearing also, after you've explained the perspective from Laser and Geert on that.
Yeah. So the artwork we're working on right now is for the Genesis collection. So that's a small group of people that will be able to contribute in various ways to the larger brand, which is House of Peregrine. And that's just purely everything everyone knows. We're not reinventing anything there, besides that we're creating and selling to our same community. So it's group creation by the people that actually need what we're doing. And so the Genesis membership is that. Those people that can steer that process, can contribute to that process. But in January, we'll open our site to curations based on curations, content, and original products that are created and curated by our community. And so that leads to more connection. It leads to less waste. It leads to being able to connect people in new ways on platforms that are actually specific to each city.
And looking at it from a practical perspective, that co-creation part, right? So we've got this group of interconnected people who bring real world skills into a new way of thinking. They've been plucked from Web 2, they're going to tap their toes in Web 3 thinking with you. You've onboarded them in a white glove service kind of way, really being mindful of like, okay, you're a person who has a real world skill. I want you to think about this as well. And you're going to give them the opportunity to co-create a product or a service or anything you think about with that group of people. So there's an issue in our community, House of Peregrine community, that needs to be resolved, like in the web lab. We have the issue, we can't track all of the events that have been popping up in Web3. That's the issue we're going to solve with that group of people. So you select the people who want to contribute, maybe a little bit of time, maybe a lot of time, and you ask them to do that in a co-creation manner. So everybody benefits from that situation as well. And that's kind of the product development mode you want to create in that community, right? And when rolling out that service, at first it will be incubated in that community, tested before it goes to the public. That's what you're saying, right?
Yep. And
Okay.
it could, yeah, that's it at its essence. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to digest it a bit more. I've heard the concept a few times, but I think it's now finally landing in a way that it is meaningful to me. Because I'm like you guys, right? I go from a gut feeling. I'm like, okay, there's something real here, but I don't grasp the whole concept yet, but I want to be involved. So that's why you come chat with me, and I'll just contribute as far as I can, and I can understand. But now I'm at that level with you guys after 4 or 5 conversations, and that's the cool thing. I've been learning, right? So I now grasp the whole concept, and now I'm engaged, and now I want to contribute as well. And I think that's an open invitation to anyone who really wants to build something in a new way, right? Geert, what are your thoughts on the whole concept?
Well, when she explained it at first, I think I was in the same position as you, where it's like,
Yeah,
oh, this sounds really interesting. You're obviously very professional, so I am going to pay attention to what you're saying. But I don't 100% get it immediately, right? But I immediately understood, like, okay, even if it's just a network of cool people, that's already going to be worth my time, And as a product designer, the whole co-creation part sounded super interesting. So because I love the whole co-creation process, where in the end you get something that you wouldn't be able to design simply on your own, because you get people's perspectives, experiences all together, and then you end up with something that is more than the sum of its parts, So, and especially when I heard about what kind of people she was onboarding, I was like, yeah, I'm all in, 100%.
cool.
And yeah, it's been really really cool seeing everything come together. Yeah.
And what's the thing for you, Laser? How do you think about this?
Yeah, for me, I have to concur with you and Geert. In the beginning, it was for me like I couldn't grasp it, but I liked when I was talking to Mikkel. I really liked her enthusiasm, and she told me about the background in film. So she worked with Danny Boyle and stuff, and we started talking. I was like, I need to do this. I was like, I need to do this. But I like the idea of creating a community. And if you look at the people that are now already in, and I'm already proud that I can be part of it, and the genesis. And that's what I also told Mikkel in the beginning. Like, I might not fully understand everything, but I
You
like to
did.
be part. Huh?
Yeah,
I
you did.
said,
You were very honest. You're like, I have no idea, but I will do it.
yeah, but I also said, like, I like to be part of the beginning of something, you know?
Yep.
And I told, again, I told her about the stories of certain things that I saw happening in my youth that kind of became very prominent now and very influential. So I was like, dude, I have to be part of this thing. And I just want to see where it goes. So next year,
You want to tag along?
yeah, and I just want to see where it goes and who gets involved. And what I see with Mikkel, she's so serious also with who she lets in. It's not like a free for all, come in and whatever. She's really engaging and keeping the standards and diversity very high. And I like that.
Yeah.
But I just want to see where it grows, because I think this could be something very special.
Just thinking of that, like, isn't it? So it's an exclusive group, right? It's within bounds. So the whole white glove thing makes it inclusive as well on that perspective. But is there any worry from you guys of being too exclusive, or isn't that something you're worrying about? You're just trying to build something amazing, and eventually it will be open up to the whole public and everybody will be welcome? Or will it always in the core be an exclusive group with high value propositions? What's the idea there, Mikkel?
Yeah, I love this question. Thank you for asking. So it's at the very, very top of my mind. So
Yeah.
the way I think about it is as a service. So we as a group are providing service, and so having it's not about being exclusive in the sense that only certain people can join. It's about having the right people on board so that all the people that are the right people also get to participate. And so what makes the right person is actually a pretty, again, it's that feeling, right? So you could be someone who's very famous and not get into our group because there's this extra
Is it the
something.
motive?
It's a motive, it's a feeling, it's a life experience, it's a way of looking at international life.
Also being perceived, like the
Yeah.
thing that everybody I've met here is like really open to new inspiration, open to new ideas, open to explore opportunities that aren't set in stone. Like I think those are things you're looking for, right?
Yep.
Open thinkers, but actually thinkers, not only consumers.
Right. And thinkers and doers, people who like to be active and do things, but also, yeah, I mean, it is a big deal but I think we're so specific about the experience we want everyone to have shared that it brings maybe people that you wouldn't expect together, which gives me a lot of energy to think about those people in one room.
Yeah. Yeah. And I can only agree that it's something really interesting, making that whole circle work. I'm trying to do the same thing with Web3.
Yep.
So yeah, any support we can lend, I'm happy to do so.
That's so generous.
Okay, so we've got the community side. I just want to start at Geert. Like Geert, you're definitely a community person. As you mentioned, you're involved with different communities. You're always open to joining new ones, open to explore synergies with new people. What's like the most interesting or the most important thing for you with communities, and why does this community fit that picture for you?
That's a good question. I think community. Look, when I first went to these Web3 events, I was like, okay, everybody's talking about community, but what? Okay, it's like it's all about community. Everybody was like, oh, it's all about community.
What does it mean? What the hell does that mean?
Yeah, I know. And I was even like, for me, what does it mean, right? But then you start getting to know people, you start getting inspired by people, you start respecting people. I mean, you really, I was surprised at how much of a community everything became, actually. I was a bit taken by surprise because in the beginning, I just went there because it was interesting. But it's about human connection in the end, you know? And I think House of Peregrine is also like, who do you want to hang out with in the end? You know, like Michaela said, somebody can be famous, but do you want to spend an evening talking to them? Right? Like that's in the end, it's all about human connection, and that's something that I really ended up finding actually in the Web3 community here. You know, so in the end, it's not about technology; it's about other people. It's profound stuff.
I think that's a really good angle to look at it from. Like you've got common knowledge about tech, different influences, but eventually it's the people you need to vibe with, right? Going back to the basics, what is your motive? What is your intention? What's the context you're working in? I think that everybody has a really open mindset that's involved with Web3.
Totally. Because everybody was like, everybody was like, oh yeah, Web3, everybody's open and all that stuff, but it's true. I ended up that's
the community aspect of it.
Yeah.
And what's it to you, Laser? Like you've always been solo. This is one of the things you've done in collaboration. Is that your first taste of what a community could do for you? Is that something you want to also internalize in a sense of like maybe form a Web3 community around your own brand? Is that?
Yeah, I don't know if I would do it around my own brand, but I have to say I'm always a bit Like, okay, community, what does it mean to me? Do I want to be part of it? Who do I like? Who don't? What people I don't like? But the
And I
show.
can imagine you're really open about who you like and you don't like.
Oh yeah, very. I either like you or I don't. And very, very. It's basic
Black
with
and
me.
white.
But yeah, it sounds a bit weird, but that's how I perceive the world. I don't care how you look or whatever, where you come from,
Yeah.
but it's either there's a connection or there's no connection, and but yeah, the thing is, I always worked alone most of the times. 99% of my time I spent working by myself, go on the street alone, and this collaboration kind of gave me kind of this jolt, like, oh, you can do more with people, because Mikkel actually mentioned it. Like at some point, I said, like, Mikkel, we need somebody to bring it to another level, and I can't do it. I can provide the art, I can help with the idea, but we need somebody to bring it to this level that we need to bring it in. And then Geert came in, and that kind of gave me the idea, like, oh, if I want to bring my art further, I need to go outside
Fascinating.
and talk to other people, because they also have great perspective what they can do with you. So in that sense, it's for me very inspiring to be part of now also House of Peregrine, because I hope
Even if it's a small one, right?
yeah, even if it's small one,
yeah.
But all these connections, it can bring you further. It can catapult your art. It can even enhance your own art without because
And your way of thinking.
your way of thinking, and also, oh, that's a great perspective, that's a good idea. It's almost like this tree of life.
And it's a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun. That's the main thing.
Cool. Just looking at that, like, it sounds a bit like you found the practical insight of, okay, you can definitely like do a sprint on your own, get to a certain goal really quickly, and that's been the tags, right? Like the quick artworks you've done, and now you're in this marathon, and you along the way you sprinted a few times, and you figured out I need people to run that marathon. I need a trainer. I need just saying something, but it's a really cool thing. Like it developed you as an artist, as a creative as well. And,
but the thing is, I could also be very protective of my art, like totally strap it down and not let anybody touch it. But my perspective is like, dude, you can enhance it by adding other people, because all these different perspectives can actually enhance your art, and that's something I'm always.
It's not just you.
No, it's not just me.
Yeah, but I think, Laser, in your case, sorry.
No,
I
go
think
ahead.
it's good that you've developed your own voice for so long. You know who you are, and then I think it's easier to let other people in, because there's already something that is undeniable. So. Yeah, that's why I really liked this collaboration, actually.
And I was looking at your art. I was like, okay, he's gonna enhance it. Let this guy go, just let him go. It's gonna be great, And it turned out to be really above what I even expected. And that's so great. That's just such a rewarding feeling.
And Mikkel, do you want to add anything on a community perspective? Are there things we missed?
There's nothing we missed. I think I want to quickly, this is the fun part for me. So leaving this conversation, I would just, I think this is what happens when you work with world-class talent. I feel like this is something this is why I'm addicted to this process. But so moving on from that, sadly, is I want to just talk quickly about how we've gone about the last part of our community building. So we did one, so I offered the token to 50 people. They were given the opportunity to offer it to someone in their network. And then the last third will be available to brands, individuals, artists, business people that are on a more public basis. And so there's 100 that are people that will come in. We've really grown a solid base, and now these people will come in on a more of a public sale. It'll be a little more quiet, starting in our LinkedIn group and then out from there. But that's kind of where we are with the NFT part of the project. On the day that we should mention Laser's work just went up at Christie's. So I don't want to also follow that. Like that is an amazing thing that happens in Laser's so well-deserved spot at that auction.
Thank you.
And anything on the last section of our conversation you guys want to add? Like the Christie's thing is pretty interesting. I'm pretty sure if you're able to join, there's a link for the House of Peregrine and for Laser 314 to be at that event digitally, right? Maybe we share it underneath this post. Just go one by one. Some things you want to mention, something you want to plug, any socials you can be followed on. You want to start off here and we end at Laser. Is that a good? No, maybe end at Mikkel, as she brought everything together. You start off here, then Laser, then Mikkel.
Sure. I'm more of an in-person kind of guy at the moment. So every project has led me to the next. So I don't really have anything to plug.
Can they find you on LinkedIn where they can contact you and ask questions around anything creative, anything Web3, how they get started with community?
Well, you can find me on Instagram, actually.
Instagram.
It's anything but .cheap. That's my that's where you can find me if you need me. So
cool.
But I just want to invite people that have a unique perspective and enthusiasm to just join and come along for the ride. Because we're having a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Laser?
I concur with Geert, but for me it's also like how fast this thing has been put together professionally and how everything looks and how the token worked out. It's been so amazing, and Mikkel did an amazing job by that. So for me, I just want to see where this goes. I'm so fascinated. Okay, we're now at this point.
You want to stay involved?
Yeah, I just want to see where we're going to be in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and that's so fascinating. And I think she's gonna crack it and create something amazing.
We're gonna crack it.
Yeah, I think that's
we're
something
gonna crack
really
it.
interesting.
Sorry.
There's like a lot of trust there, Laser.
Yeah.
And I think the most interesting part is like, okay, you've experienced like this excitement, but also you've built trust.
Yeah.
And you're okay with the fact that things aren't going to be as maybe others are going to think it's going to end up to be. Like you're really open to see where this whole process goes.
Oh yeah.
Doesn't matter. You already had a win in this whole process.
Yeah.
You've experienced a lot.
Learned a lot, know.
Yeah.
Learned a lot, and that's gold, man. If you experience something like this, a collaboration like this, you can't put a value on it. It's something that stays with you forever, and you can throw money at it, but it doesn't matter. It's the experience that's for me the most important thing.
Yeah. Okay. I think those are some heartwarming words for everyone.
By the way, if you want some handles, people can follow me on Instagram, like Laser314 on Instagram. Just type in my tag name, and you will find my profile there.
And you can also find you on LinkedIn. Yeah.
I'm back on Twitter, so yeah.
Cool. Mikkel?
I think I can't really add much. I feel exactly the same about this. I appreciate the trust, and I'm also excited to see where it goes. And I think the best thing to do is follow. Our webpage is actually token gated for members, but you can join there or you can follow along on LinkedIn. We'll have more of a public site in January, but following along on Instagram. We're just really intentionally growing. So following along there is the best part. Sometimes people say we're kind of elusive, but that's really intentional. Those are the places you can follow along, and you'll be hearing more as we go more public facing as we get into the beginning of next year.
Cool. So it is an open invitation for people to apply, but be mindful, some expectation management. Not everybody's going to get through at the pace they'd like to. It's going to be really curated, making sure it's inclusive, diverse, and productive.
Yeah, but I would like to say I can't let this go by without recognizing that you get to own a one-of-one Laser 314 from this thing. Like that, we forgot to say that, but it is actually really intentional, beautiful, and we can show the NFT. It's on OpenSea, so you can see it. It's but it'll go more on a public sale in the coming weeks. But yeah, it's I can't let it go by without mentioning. It is a really
Amazing.
also beautiful piece.
Great. Okay, I think that's it. Guys, thank you for being here. I'm going to stop the recording.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Bo. Thanks so much for your time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, that's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed our show. For the latest insights on living internationally, join us at houseofperegrine.com to find out how you can connect with our community. Let's craft our life story with intention together.